Today, the church celebrates St. Aloysius Gonzaga. He was born of the noble Gonzaga family in Mantua, in Italy. His family was quite rich, but he felt called to do something different. As we said in the collect for this morning's Mass, we want to join penitence to an innocence of life. After reading the stories of the Jesuit missionaries in India, he wanted to join them through simplicity and sacrifice, and he gave up his noble title and entered the novitiate of the Jesuits. While he was studying in Rome, plague struck, and he begged for those who were poor and tended to those who were neglected. When he himself picked up the plague as a result of his interaction with so many who had it, he's said to have exclaimed, "We are going," to which a fellow Jesuit who was working with him at the time said, "He must be speaking of going to heaven as we talk of going to the Jesuits." He died in 1591 at the age of 23 years old, holding a crucifix, praying, fasting, and giving of himself. He didn't die in public, died on a street corner in quiet. But the Lord, who saw what Aloysius did with his life, repaid him with the white robe of sainthood, white martyrdom. This morning's gospel, my dear sisters and brothers, as much as it reminds us of the season of Lent, because this is what we hear on Ash Wednesday every year, is a friendly reminder for us of how these things are important for us every day, not just Ash Wednesday, not just when we wear ashes on our forehead to remind everybody that we're Catholic today, but that when we do this every day, do we pray fervently? When we fast from things, do we fast fervently? Fasting is not just meant from food. There is such a thing as called as fasting of the tongue. That's the tough one. Fasting of the tongue means I see someone, I hear someone, I interact with someone, and I don't open my mouth. I keep it quiet because I know that my heart can't match what's going to come out of my mouth. So therefore I fast. I keep it quiet. When I give of who I am I looking for something in return? Am I looking for the pat on the back? Am I looking for someone to, so will somebody recognize what I do around here? Yes, somebody does. God. That's all you need. If you need a trophy every time you do something well, God love you, but that's not for God, that's for you. And that's what Jesus is saying here, that we can slip into these easy things of giving towards one another and fasting of our tongue. And we slip in so easily that when prayer comes, we look for the same result. We look for the same result. We look for God to say, "Oh, isn't that wonderful how my son and daughter is praying to me? Let me stroke them and give them what." That's not what it is. Prayer is persistence. Even when we think God has us on mute. Isn't that the biggest complaint from our sisters and brothers? God's got me on mute. He's not hearing me. He doesn't understand what I need. So you know what you need better than God does. Congratulations. When did you get your wings? We're not like that. And we're not meant to be like that. So Jesus, in this teaching moment, it's not a scolding moment here, folks. It's a reminding moment for myself and for you. That when we pray, fast, and give alms, the one who needs to know the sincerity of it is God. Aloysius Gonzaga, in his life, all he wanted to do was to serve simply and humbly. He didn't care who knew about it. What were his 3 words when he was dying? "We are going." Everybody else thought they were going to the school. No, he's going to heaven. Because he knew that he gave his heart to God and his heart was going where his heart belonged. That's our prayer. Do we put our hearts into the heart of God every day? In the way we pray, in the way we curb ourselves from things that we know do not put us in the right disposition, and from the way in which we give of ourselves freely. And if we don't, then we need to revert our hearts back to the innocence of the opening prayer of this morning's Mass, which was very beautiful. O God, giver of all good heavenly gifts, who in St. Aloysius Gonzaga joined penitence to a wonderful innocence of life, grant through his merits and intercession that we, though we have failed to follow him in innocence, we may imitate him in penitence. Maybe that's our prayer today. Lord, I have not always been innocent. I have not always approached you as innocent as you beg me to. But through this Eucharist and through my sincere penitence, restore my innocence, that my 3 words to you will always be, "We are going, and we are going to you." because that's where we belong. If St. Aloysius Gonzaga can see it, we certainly can as well.